just willy-nilly and for no good reason. So typically there's another compelling reason to do so. And the early brain research is really kind of inspiring. All of it is being done by academics at schools like USC and Dartmouth, and those are the two best schools I think that are making progress in this regard. And they are showing that you can conceivably, write and read memory, and these are basic memories.
Relate to it. So I know I've been really focusing on my V2K targeting. Um, so I know I've been really focusing on my V2K targeting, how they play with memories and manipulate memories in my experience. First, I want to thank anybody who's been watching my videos. I hope they've been insightful, and some of you can relate to it. So I know I've been really focusing on my V2K targeting. I would say that's because that's the most testimonies from target individual. I heard him say that in his experiences, what's happening to him is the V2K is playing with his memories and make you visualize memories. I make these videos every time I actually experience something not too occurring a few times, and it's really it's just meant to kind of vilify you. I don't know if at some point I'll be like, okay, yes, this is a memory, but it just at that point you feel like, okay, wow, this is occurring a few times, and this is really just to for me it's been mostly about criminalize me or vilifying me, and trying to make me believe that I'm a certain person. It's just creating a false persona and creating this villain of some kind. So I'm not perfect by no means, but those memories they try to kind of play around with are exaggerating most of the time, and if not, they have something added to it. So there's also this exaggerated memories where they might have some base that's coming from somewhere real, like a true memory, but it can also be added to it to kind of create and be manipulated. And lastly is it's almost so it's not the memory where you actually had that memory, but the perception changes in that memory, and sensations are added to it. Not It's just so weird to even try to explain something like that, because it does feel so you know so abnormal. But adding sensations, feelings, perceptions of things you weren't feeling, just to also create this narrative in this persona. And this really is just is to the point where you don't even want to fall for any of your memories. It, it, it's all about deception in some way. Nothing is what it is. There could be a bit of reality of true memories, then kind of changed in a way to vilify you. I know it's kind of hard to understand. I'm trying to explain as good as I can, knowing that if you don't if you haven't experienced it, it's confusing. But you know, basically, just to summarize what I said, so on top of the V2K being able to actually bring memories, and within the real sensations that you might have felt, some even some the smell, that can be done and be you know on top of that, they can bring edited version of those memories. What I mean is they can based on some of the memories, create an alternate memory, just an exaggerated memory with different sensation, with and kind of recreate in a different. It's just basic an edited memory. Um,
So you just heard, um, first you saw a video I made 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, addressing something I've addressed many times because it's been happening a lot. Literally, as a target individual, as a TI, a lot of manipulations are happening. And a lot of manipulations are being done to you, and it's a lot about, you know, your reactions to things, your thoughts, and also my memories. My memories have been manipulated. They try to manipulate you to accept these things that they create, and it's something they've been doing to me and to others. But you realize how simple it is to do what they do. Not simple, but I mean how obvious that they can do that. Because after that, you saw this was a speaker for DARPA talk about how they were saying that memories can be not only read but also written, right? And of course, he's talking about like this commercial, non-military aspect of things, like actual like civilian finding out that memory is something that can easily be read and written, meaning that you can create a false memory, right? He's not talking about what they're working on, but he's talking about how like this just like schools were able to find that out, right? You gotta understand, you have to read in between the lines. There's a lot of things that they won't speak about. Now it's funny that I was listening to these people and try to say things like, oh, we're working on this like memory manipulations. Of course, they've been manipulating memories for a long time. If the civilian world has figured out that there's ability to not only read but also write memories, what do you think, and how far ahead do you think they are? They're very far ahead. And they are manipulating memories, and that's just validation, but that's validation that was already validated, but because others have spoke about that. And for me, it's been a lot of manipulations of my memories. They create these stories, and then they start implanting those stories in my brain as if it's my real memory, as if I experienced things like that. That's why in 2020 I talked about what I talked about, because it was happening like that already, and today they're still doing it. But I've already spoke about it in advance, knowing that they're going to continuously find where they can falsify memory, and they're going to continuously implement a falsified memory. And that's what I've been dealing with, just falsification of memories. Some trying to change the reaction of a memory to make me experience the way I'm experiencing things today. And that's been something that they've been doing. Now, as I'm speaking about this, I'm hearing some perp, and I wish you could have seen the perps I've tried to show. And her job via V2K is to project her voice and say things that's going to disorient me, because they want you to stick in this falsified reality that they put together. They box you in this falsified reality, and as I'm saying things like, as you can see, memory manipulation is something that even in the civilian world they're working on. So you can only imagine what these agencies, these military agencies, these Department of Defense agencies, how far ahead they are. Matter of fact, there's another thing that you'll see is DARPA. They try to, they have this like, and you have to read in between the line. Like there's something for the civilians that we are aware of, that they provide information, and there's other things that they don't, of course, not talk about. They've been working on soldiers for PTSDs and try to work on their memories to better them, right? So they play a lot. The memory initiatives have been really been the focus of that part too. But this is what they present. So you tell me that a agency from the Department of Defense will not weaponize memories once they know how to manipulate memories? So in this brain initiative aspect of things, which is the good aspect, the civilian aspect of things, where they're saying that they are finding ways to make soldiers with PTSD or ex-soldiers with PTSD live a better life and find ways to, remove perhaps memories that they don't want to, that is negative to these people dealing with PTSD. There's a lot of language of manipulations of memories. So you can only understand this is what is presented to the civilian world. So we obviously know that the Defense Department will weaponize this. For me and for many others, as target individuals, we are human subjects for a lot of the weaponized aspect of this. They falsify memories and then try to gaslight you. For example, this addressing me right now via V2K is every time I make these videos, somebody comes in and try to interrupt you, try to box in this BS reality they put together. So they want you to accept these falsified memories. One falsified memory I talked about yesterday is how they try to change this whole. So we all know about this, like they've done these studies where they were giving, and it's just in my brain, they just try to find ways to make me accept this edited reality that they put together in my memories. There was, we all know about this like experimentation where they were saying that black girls had like this self-hate because when they ask kids choose between this is so crazy how they try to play with my brain, choose between a black doll or white doll, they would choose white doll, and it's like, no, here's a black doll. It's like, no, that's ugly, right? And the black doll should be representing her as a black girl, but they prefer the white doll, showing a sense of self-hate, right? The way in my brain they've made me experience this moment, and the reason why they pick these memories is because there's a black girl, and making me experience this sensation and stimulation they make me experience today. Now I know it's for falsified memory. They are adding things they can add into my memories, and I talked about it in the last video. The sensation, the perceptions that I'm talking about. Because this is how they will make me experience if I saw a black little girl. And they make me experience that in my memories, and then say what we're doing is we're just mapping, you see? When in reality, they falsify memories, right? They create false memories. Then go into, and then say what we're doing here, you see, you experience that like that. And of course, this is thankfully, it's a memory that I know is falsified, right? There's no doubt, I know it's what they do. But in fact, what they're also doing is they make me imagine some other child, and that's when they then go back to me when I was a kid, the stupid thing I did, right? I did something stupid as a child. They like to exaggerate what I did as a child. Matter of fact, before I was making this video, this person was saying, oh, you molested, you did this, because they wish that was reality. The reality is I did something stupid to myself as a child. I did some stupid. There was a time when I was just discovering myself, just turned 14 years old, and at that age you have testosterone and you do things to yourself all the time. That was that. It's still embarrassing, but that's what I did to myself. But they've been trying to make me think that you're looking at black girls like that, you get stimulation, they falsify memories of some sort. So they make me imagine a different black little girl, and make me think of me at that time, and try to make me think that's how you think. So it's not even like the actual child that was there during the experimentation. It make me think of some other child, and then be like, no, remember what you did as a kid. Recreating memories in these falsified ways. I'm like, first of all, that is validation that you're creating false memory. Now, if I try to see that experiment again, I will get the reaction that they make me experience today. So I know better. And they'll box in this falsified memory, like, oh, you see, naturally, that's how you felt it. It's nasty. It's truly recreating memories in a different fashion. and try to make me accept these versions of falsified memory. And then to try to box in this false memory, they try to make me feel guilty, right? They say, oh, the black girl, that's you. It's like, no, you are making me experience a false memory. And because it's a black girl, you're giving me the sensation, the stimulation you've been making me have when I see black girls. They want me to start identifying with the manipulations. They use this dongorons to try to get me to accept something I know is falsified. And then they try to be like, no, but remember what you did as a kid. I know a kid is capable of doing stupid things, but they are making me experience, me as a kid, experience that stimulation and sensation they make me have today. So that's the first memory manipulation started early on August 19, 2019. But they were forcing me to experience a sensation and ways of perceiving things differently in my childhood memories. And they want me to accept this falsified memory. I was like, this is falsified memory, even in my childhood. But now what you're doing is like, wherever you see a black girls, in my memories, you are trying to make me have these reactions. Because there's like, no, black girl is real. That's how when you saw black girls when you were a kid, that's what you felt this stimulated BS stories. And go into my memories and make me have these stimulation sensations. It's so nasty. But the reality is all girls, right? All little girls usually, even little boys, but they, little girls is usually where they're like, oh, that's the real stuff. See, we mapped it to you when you were a kid. And then they just go into memories and falsify memories wherever they can't. Oh, there's a black girl. Oh, remember this, the experiment? Remember that black girl, that the black doll thing? Give me a false memory of how I was perceiving this moment, giving me the sensation and stimulation that I'm experiencing today. And in my brain, they're having ways to try to have this countering logics that they manipulate me to experience. Try to make me think that this was something that I experienced when it's falsified. Now, when that person called, and the reason why they said that, I heard somebody open the door and say black doll, and they tried to make me think of that, like that. She sounded very like timid because she knew that obviously I was going to be like, yeah, this is the falsified memory that I've been talking about. You want me to accept false memory that you have written yourself. Now, obviously, it's more than just writing. I'm simplifying what they're doing. It's not just written. They are truly reforming my memories with things that weren't happening at the time. And so to box it in, they tell me about all the torture I'm going to experience. Oh, they're going to torture you. They're going to burn you. You just want me to accept this false memory. You just want me to experience a falsified reality of my memories. The matter of fact, right now they make me think of this little black girl and then try to make me have the stimulations. I'm like, this is falsified. And then try to make me think, but remember what you did as a kid. But do you know that I know that you torture children? Do you know that I know, which you of course know, that you use children as samples, as human subjects in this program where you torture them and molest them using this technology? I know what they do to children, just like they do to adults. They do that to children. So as they try to talk about me as a kid and even falsify my memories of my child, giving me this sensation stimulation that I didn't have at the time, even that this dumb thing, impulsive thing that a child did. And as a child, I mean me when I was a child. They are even falsifying my reaction when I was a kid. While these people know that I know, obviously, that they use children as human subjects and sexually torture them, just like they sexually torture adults, and found ways to counter that. So you get a mixture of them making me experience this like black girl and give me false stimulations or stimulation they're creating, and then they try to make me feel like, oh, you're gonna pay for that. And they're talking about the stupid thing I did to myself, but they're adding this false memory with the stimulations and sensation that I didn't have at the time. Because today, as an adult man, they are manipulating me in real time and going through memories and implanting sensation, stimulation whenever there's black little girls to say, now we mapped it. You see? This is nasty. But the more you look around, you understand that memories have been manipulated, and they've been working on memory manipulations or some sort of memory additions, changes. On the DARPA side, they're using like, oh, we're just trying to get these things where we're trying to help PTSD patients, right? And they've been creating some like memories. They've been creating some program to help those patients. But this is the side that they show to the public. When in reality, they also have been working on memory manipulations, but on us target individuals. We are subjects to this technology that's used for weaponry purposes to harm people. And they falsify all kind of memories and try to, you heard that, Hunk? They try to get you to feel guilty for the falsified memories, to get you to identify with something that's false. I've been told how many times I'm going to be raped. It's not because they're warning me. They want you to stop feeling guilty and scared for these falsified ways they made you experience your memory. This is why they tell you these things to you, at least for me. Every time they falsify this memory, giving me this weird sensation stimulation, they make me have every time I look at a black kid or any child, any girl, any little girl, any little boy actually, but especially black little girl. They put that in my memories and then they say, oh, they're gonna rape you. The reason why they're timing it when they make me experience this false memory is because they want you to identify with this. And then they tell you how you're gonna hurt from that. It is extremely brainwashy type of just kind of like making you accept this falsification. They are trying to intimidate you into accepting a false memory. But because me, I look at them as this dongorons, nasty foul trash, who actually work for entities where the intelligence community has a problem with pedophiles. That is something they try to block out. They have actual problem with pedophiles, and you hear this bottom feeders try to counter that using these different tonalities now there is. And even the way they try to express themselves, try to be like, listen to how sincere a sound there is. Clowns, trash and bottom feeders that work for entities filled with pedophiles and been rewiring the memories and want you to accept this false memory. So when they like, for example, when I see some of these dongorons, and they go into their like ways of try to talk to me, try to make me accept this nastiness, I truly see them for the bottom feeders that they are. I'm not subscribing to this false memory. This black little girl, nasty stimulation, you're making me experience my memories and then even bringing up this random memories to manipulate to have these stimulations. Do you think your tone of voice is going to make me subscribe to it? Don't you not see yourself? Yes, I will be tortured, but no, I will not subscribe to this nasty manipulation that you guys force people to experience. Yes, I know you guys been working on manipulating the memories. You can make me experience something that I never experienced in my life, in my memory. Never experienced that in my memory. And then they're like, but maybe you experienced it when you were like 6 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old. Clowns. Delusional trash. And try to create battles. Because what this technology does is create these mental battles to make you accept this. This is it's a weapon. It's a weapon that is meant to break you down. It's a weapon that destroys your mind. And you see who is involved. You know that the technology is super sophisticated based on who you can even see involved in this. You see this bottom field, human that are super fragile, like mentally fragile. Fragility on a level that you can understand. Sorry, this is the word that make me say dongoron. And you look at this trash. It's like you are a dongoron. You are so obviously weak And I'm not talking about physical weakness. I'm talking about somebody who could break down in 2 seconds. And she talks like, "Hey, they're gonna break you down. They're gonna do this." When I mimic those voices, is how these perps, when using V2K to project their voices onto my brain, they are trying to sound a certain way. It's like, imagine a child is told, listen, you want the way you speak like you, like make yourself speak like you are hypnotic, try to be hypnotic. Like you see in the movies when they try to like, you do this, you're gonna like speak like that, and I hear them using this tonality. But you see them, you're a clown. It's like a child who's trying to convince you something that you know is falsified. That's what is so sad. Because I'll never let them live that fantasy. They know I'm never gonna subscribe to it. Yes, bad things horrible things gonna happen to me. That is, I understand. I am a human subject, and this program that is rewiring the brain, and these entities are entities with limitless funding. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. I understand. I'm a civilian. Against that, there's nothing I can do. These people are so weak that they even try to find strength in that's like, oh, we're gonna win. Can you imagine? You are working for entities that have like hundreds of billions of dollars to experiment on human beings, and like, oh, we're gonna win against some regular civilian that is being experimented with the utmost sophisticated technology. And they're like, you are trying to make it, you want to make yourself sound strong. Like this, they use these perps, these contracted bottom fears that are like losers. Not because only they're involved in a program where they do these horrible things, but they even try to find this like successful. Like, tell me, how can you not be successful in this? Trash. But they always have, there's always reality showing up, as they make me experience these nasty false memories or even reactions or whatever. The reality is they have been torturing children sexually. That's real. They have problem with pedophiles in these entities. Even DARPA, an entity that's obviously involved in this program in one aspect or another, there was a program manager who they caught downloading child porn on his government devices. There's a bunch of CIA entities, agencies, who been caught doing things to children, downloading child porn and other things. There's other target individuals, other agents in these agencies, in different intelligence agencies, caught with some kind of child porn or something like that. Now you see how hard it is for me to speak right now. It's because I'm trying to fight whatever things they try to do in my brain. You're gonna hear that from other target individuals. When we speak, they counter that. They can make you say something else, and you heard me struggle say certain things because they are trying to like disorient me and make me say something else to kind of frustrate me. You hear that a lot. But in conclusion here, want to wrap this up too with me. This morning or last night, I woke up kind of choking on my own saliva, and this is not the first time they do that. They can do so much more, and I expect a lot more torture. But I was listening to this person talking to me, right, as it was happening, right. She wanted to sound menacing. She's like, yeah, and then she's like, oh, this is what you get. And I'm like, listen, I know when the day comes when I'm being tortured, they're gonna try to make themselves sound in certain ways. But I've seen who's talking to me, target individual. These voices that you hear, these people, these perps that you hear, talking to you via this V2K technology that can project these voices into your brain, they are truly weak human beings. Yes, they are doing evil things, like they like to call it. Evil. But to do evil things, you don't have to be strong. Anybody can do evil things. A child can be involved in evilness. And I truly tell you, when I see how weak and fragile these human beings are, how sad and pathetic they are, I'm kind of thankful that at least this is people that I can really imagine going through some things really quickly. They're not the untouchable. They are the very much fragile bottom feeders. So when they're going to see me suffering, they're going to try to use these tones like, they're going to die. It's like, remember, those are nobodies. These people tomorrow can be crying over nothing. They can break down over nothing. So I expect that they're gonna find a special. They're gonna feel special when the day comes when I'm in pain, I'm suffering, I'm screaming. Because they keep telling me that's gonna happen, and I do believe it's gonna happen. And I just have to pray and ask God to give me strength for dealing with that. But one thing I thank God is I'm not living their life. They try to make me accept things that are falsified. I don't subscribe to it. I don't identify. They can honk as much as they can. They can make all these different menacing noises. I'm not going to subscribe to that. And I'll never. They're going to try to look at me and tell me how I'm going to write in hell. I will write in whatever I need to write in, but I'll never identify with the falsifications. And I'll always see this trash for what they've been doing to me, but also what they do to others and who they've done it to. Children being tortured by these bottom feeders, and the fact that they're reigned by entities filled with pedophiles or entities with problem pedophilia is just an indication and warning for them. You being gods, okay, here. You're going to do this thing humiliated. I know they torture children sexually, other ways. They use children in these disgusting ways to use as guinea pigs. They've suffocated them. They have tortured their testicles. They have done so much horrible things to children as young as even 3-week-old. And the fantasy, to counter that, you know what they said? To counter the fact that they torture children even in a sexual way. Oh, black girls. Because then I should be out, black girls, and they make me imagine black little girls gave me the false estimation they make me have. To counter reality. Of course, reality is going to be like knocking on the door. Because I'm speaking about reality. They are speaking about the things they've been manipulating me and conditioning me to experience now. Even falsifying my memories. I'd rather be dying in this rotting place with this falsified memory, reaction, stimulation, versus dying in their paradise. I call it paradise for them because that's what they do. Because they tell me I'm going to die in hell. It's like, are you dying in paradise? Are you dying in heaven? That's it. Okay, die in that heaven where you have to counter reality of being involved in a program that is even torturing kids sexually for the purpose of this program. No, I'd rather rot in hell. This paradise that consists of manipulations of all sorts to create a false reality. I'd rather die in this hell. That's a dignified way to die. This way of living is nasty, and they like to find themselves. They like to make themselves grander than what they are. I'm talking about the perps, because they say things to try to agitate you, like it's our hell. No, it's the government's hell. Yes, I'm in the nightmare that I've been put by an employer, and this nightmare is the government nightmare. That so many others have been in this nightmare, because we are human subjects. You're just the bottom feeders that implement these nightmares. To all my target individuals, stay strong. I know that justice will be done for this nastiness they do to people. These bottom feeders, these weak low lives. Some of them have died before I even go through these nightmares, this hell. Even though I'm already in the nightmare, in a hell in a sense, that's I can never be myself anymore. I have not been myself since August 19, 2019. These manipulations of memories, thoughts, dreams, reactions have been constant since that day. But I know there's gonna be even worse. And I'm thankful to God that I didn't have to live their nasty life, which that scares me even more. That scares me a lot more. You know, they're like, oh, you don't have any hope. You know, it's like, listen, you have all the hope. That's why you can be reimbursed in a way that you can understand. At this point, I'm like, whenever the day comes, I just want to thank God. Thank you. You guys work for entities filled with pedophiles. You torture children and women. You're bottom.
I'm currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic, and they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions and had been making incredible progress on all of her therapy goals. This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, "Ow," and this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day, I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "Ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain. I asked him what was wrong and if he needed to use the restroom, but he said no to having to use the restroom and was not able to verbalize anything more due to his language delay. He looked puzzled and bewildered. Even though I had stated that it was time to do more work right before this incident, I quickly just let him play another game, and he quickly returned to his joyful, happy self again.
Had sexual contact with a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, he was simply fired. One employee purchased sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned. One employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 sexually abusive images of children while on agency assignments. Not sure what actions, if any, were taken by him. One contractor arranged for sex with an undercover FBI agent. I think that you mentioned that. Posing as a child, he had his contract revoked. One CIA staffer was charged with child sexual crimes, and the employee was also under investigation for mishandling classified material. The CIA did not answer detailed questions, saying only that the agency takes all allegations of possible criminal misconduct committed by personnel seriously. So you're saying the reason trial. But sexual crimes involving children, says BuzzFeed, including the viewing of images of abuse, have been uncovered at other agencies that handle sensitive information. In a November 2009 report, the Department of Defense acknowledged that dozens of Pentagon staff members or contractors had such images. In 2014, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community found that 2 officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites, acknowledged viewing images of child sexual abuse during polygraph examinations. This is so disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening for whatever reason with more frequency in our intelligence agencies, or is this something that is more pervasive in the general population than I originally realized? I mean, what's going on here? This is so bizarre. Remember, it's so evil.
Allie, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind
and I was told I was going to be shot in the face. And it was an older guy. He was like really, really disgruntled and pissed off. Yeah, she's going to get shot in the face. Sound like an angry ass old person. Then a couple of days later, a female said the same thing. Don't get shot in the face. Stupid shit like that. But what I really noticed is with the Voice of Skull, it's a bunch of females. And I'm like, bro, really? You're not a woman. What real woman would stalk another female or sit back and allow that to go on? You really think they think it's nothing wrong with them?